Hello students, this is Vijay Ushir. In the last lecture, we have started our first chapter for the physical chemistry, that is a phase equilibrium. And in this lecture, we will start the next part of a phase equilibrium. In the last lecture, we have studied about the basic components of a phase equilibrium. Basic components, phase, what is meant by phase, what are the different components, what are the different degrees of freedom. These all concepts we have studied in the last lecture. So in this lecture we will study the true equilibrium, metastable equilibrium and non-equilibrium. So there are mainly three types of equilibrium. These three: true, meta and non-equilibrium. So these are observed in a phase diagram. So what is the actual meaning of this? So we have to understand all these things. So suppose that a system contains a liquid water. So at a constant pressure, if heat is supplied to a ice, so we have considered the example that a system is containing a liquid water, and if at constant pressure, if heat is supplied to ice and its temperature will be increased, and at a 0 degrees Celsius ice will begin to melt, and the equilibrium means at a constant temperature when we supply heat to the ice, so the temperature will be increased, and at 0 degrees Celsius what happens? The ice will begins to melt, and ice ice and water, there is a equilibrium is established between ice and water, and hereafter the supplied heat will be utilized in the melting of ice. Means whatever amount of heat we are supplying, this heat is used for melting of ice, and the equilibrium is established between ice and water, because when we supply heat to the ice gets converted into water. Therefore there is a equilibrium between ice and water, and the temperature of the system will not change as long as the two phases coexist in a state of equilibrium. Means when these two phases, ice and water, when these two phases coexist in a state of equilibrium, then the temperature will not change. And once all the ice is melted, means by the absorbing the temperature, when all ice is melted, the system contains only liquid water, because all ice is converted into water, so it contains only liquid water, and the temperature of water begins to increase now on supplying heat. So if we are supplying heat continuously, after the all ice is melted into liquid water, then what happens? The temperature of water, because when all ice is converted into water, therefore the temperature of water begins to increase on supplying heat, and the same equilibrium is obtained starting from the system containing liquid water only. Means if we consider ice is converted into water, then only water is remained after all ice is converted into water, and that same equilibrium is obtained from the side of from the system containing liquid water. Means our system now, after ice is converted into water, it consists of only water, and when the equilibrium is obtained from the starting point of the system containing liquid water only, and lowering of its temperature. That is, the above equilibrium is obtained from both sides, means from the ice side, ice to liquid water, and means this ice to liquid water and this water to ice, and that such a equilibrium is called as a true equilibrium. Means the equilibrium which is obtained from both of the sides, that is from side of ice also and side of water also, that is called as a true equilibrium. So this is the first type of equilibrium, that is a true equilibrium. So suppose now the system contains liquid water. So we have considered the system containing liquid water. So what happens? By cooling the water carefully at a constant pressure, it can be made to exist in liquid state below a temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. Means now we are considering a system containing liquid water. So if we cool that water carefully at a constant pressure by supplying a constant pressure, we can made to exist the liquid state below the temperature of 0 degrees Celsius. Means below the 0 degrees Celsius, the liquid state of water is maintained, but at a constant pressure, and at each temperature of a liquid water is in equilibrium with vapor. Means at each temperature the liquid water we are considering, it is in equilibrium with, liquid water is in equilibrium with its vapor, and so, and the water so obtained it's called as a super cooled water, because it is cooled below the temperature of a 0 degree Celsius under the constant pressure. Means it is under 0 degree Celsius, therefore it's called as a super cooled water. And this state of equilibrium can be attained from only one side, that is from water side, and not from the ice side. Means only when liquid water is converted into ice, so this equilibrium is attained from only water side, that is only one side. So this is because we do not have a superheated ice, because the equilibrium is obtained from on the side, only from the side of a water side and not from the ice side. Therefore we can call it as a super cooled water, because equilibrium is obtained from the side of a water and not from the side of a ice. Therefore we cannot call this concept as a superheated ice. Only we can call super cooled water, because equilibrium is obtained from side of a water. And this equilibrium is therefore different from true equilibrium, because we know that true equilibrium is obtained from two sides. That is, we have considered liquid water and ice. From ice side also equilibrium is obtained, and water side also equilibrium is obtained. But metastable equilibrium is obtained only by the one side. So in this example, it is obtained from water side. Therefore that type of equilibrium, it is different from true equilibrium, and it is called as a metastable equilibrium. And finally, consider a system containing almost saturated aqueous solution of sodium chloride. So we are considering different examples to define the equilibrium. First we have defined true equilibrium. Second we have defined metastable equilibrium. Now we are considering the example of a saturated solution, almost saturated solution, aqueous solution of sodium chloride. So what happens? The rate of dissolution of sodium chloride is very small, because we have considered the almost saturated solution. And however, the state of equilibrium will not attain until the saturation limit is reached. Means the state of equilibrium, when it is attained, until the saturation limit is reached. When the saturation limit is reached, the state of equilibrium will be attained. And once this happens, the dissolved sodium chloride will be in the state of equilibrium with undissolved sodium chloride. Means at one state what happens? The dissolved sodium chloride that is dissolved in aqueous solution, that is in equilibrium with the undissolved sodium chloride, due to formation of a saturated solution. When saturated solution form, some of the sodium chloride becomes undissolved, and a state of solution is prior to the saturation and is said to be unstable equilibrium. Means this state of a solution is prior to saturation and it is said to be unstable equilibrium. And in such a state, a rate of approach of a system is very slow. Means the rate of approach of the system is at a lower rate, and the system appears to undergo no change with the time. And the similar situation will arise in any system that is approaching in a state of equilibrium, and we can say that the system is in a state of non-equilibrium. Means the situation will arise in any system, any type of, here we have considered the sodium chloride system. So it is approaching a state of equilibrium, and that we called as a non-equilibrium state. Means the dissolved sodium chloride is in a state of equilibrium with undissolved sodium chloride, and the state of solution is prior to saturation. This state of a solution is prior to saturation, and it is called as an unstable equilibrium, because dissolved sodium chloride and undissolved sodium chloride, they are in equilibrium with each other. So this type of equilibrium is called as a non-equilibrium. So these are the different types of equilibrium. Next point is a statement of a phase rule. So what is the actually phase rule? So how it is defined? So the rule provides the general relationship between the degrees of freedom, which is denoted by symbol capital F, of the system at equilibrium, and number of phases, which are denoted by symbol P, and number of components that are present in the system. We know that for defining any phase rule, we have to define the relationship between degree of freedom. So how many degrees of freedom are present? 1, 2 or 0. Then the system at equilibrium and the number of phases, how many number of phases are present, how many number of components are present in the system. So these all are responsible for the phase rule. So what this rule states, provided the equilibrium between the phases, so the equilibrium between different phases, that may be solid, that may be liquid, that may be gases, it is not influenced by the gravitational, electrical and or magnetic fields, and is influenced only by the temperature, pressure and concentration. The number of degrees of freedom F of the system is related to the number of components and the number of phases present at the equilibrium by the equation. Means the equilibrium between the phases is not influenced by these three types of fields, gravitational, electrical or magnetic, but it is influenced or affected by effect of temperature, pressure, concentration. Means these factors are responsible for the change of, for the phase equilibrium between, change of phase equilibrium between these phases. So number of phases present, number of degrees of freedom and number of components present at equilibrium by the equation. The equation is F is equal to C minus P plus 2. F means nothing but the degrees of freedom. C means number of components and P means number of phases, and this 2 is a constant. This is a phase rule. So the phase rule is also called as a Gibbs phase rule. This phase rule, F is equal to C minus P plus 2. This is called as a Gibbs phase rule. In that, what is F? We know that what is F? F is the degrees of a freedom or number of independent variable. We have already defined that F, that is a degrees of a freedom. C, we know that C means number of components, how many components are present, and P means number of phases, how many number of phases that are called as a number of phases. And 2 means there are two variables that may be pressure or temperature, pressure and temperature. Therefore one is for pressure and another is for temperature, therefore the term is a 2. So this is a phase rule, that is F is equal to C minus P plus 2. So we'll study the application of a phase rule to various systems. So we have considered the example. So first example, here we have drawn the table. First one is a name of the system. Second, number of phases at equilibrium. Third, number of components, how many number of components are present. Next, number of degrees of a freedom and number of variables. Means by using phase rule, that is F is equal to C minus P plus 2, we have to calculate the number of degrees of a freedom. So first example, consider a definite mass of a gas is enclosed in a cylinder. So we have considered a cylinder in which a gas is enclosed of having a definite mass. So what are the number of phases? So we know that only one gas is enclosed, therefore number of phases 1 and component also 1, and therefore how we can calculate degrees of freedom? F is equal to C minus P plus 2. C and P are components 1, phases 1. 1 minus 1 plus 2. Therefore answer comes to be F is equal to 2. Therefore the degrees of freedom are 2, and we can say that the system is 2 means bivariant, and the pressure and temperature must be defined. So in this way we have to calculate the degrees of freedom. F is equal to 2 means pressure and temperature. Second, we have considered the example of water is converted into water vapor. Next, we have considered the example of water is converted into water vapor. So this is one system, that is water is converted into water vapor. So how many number of phases are present at equilibrium? So water, that is a liquid phase, and water vapor, that is a gaseous phase. So there are two phases are at equilibrium, that is a liquid and gas. And how many number of components? There are only one component, because water vapor also contains the component water and liquid water also contains the component water. Therefore the number of components are 1. Therefore how F, that is degrees of freedom, can be calculated? F is equal to C minus P plus 2, that is a C, number of components 1, minus P, that is a phases are 2, plus 2, that is a answer comes out to be 1. Therefore, we can say that F is equal to 1 means system is a monovariant. When F is equal to 2, system is a bivariant. F is equal to 1, that is a monovariant. That is a pressure or temperature must be specified. So next example is calcium carbonate solid is converted into calcium oxide solid plus carbon dioxide gaseous. So how many number of phases are present? So this is a calcium carbonate. So this is a one phase in each in a solid state. This calcium oxide, that is a one phase, and carbon dioxide, that is in gases, that is a third phase. So there are three phases are present in a equilibrium, because in the definition of phases we have defined the rule that each solid constitute a single phase. That was our first rule for define the number of phases. So this one solid corresponding to one phase and this second solid corresponding to other phase. So 1, 2 and 3 phases are present. And how many number of components? This two solids corresponds to one component and this one gas corresponds to another component. So this calcium carbonate and calcium oxide, these two are solids. These constitute a one component and carbon dioxide constitute other component. So number of components are 2. Therefore F is equal to C minus P plus 2. C, that is a 2, and phases 3 plus 2. Therefore value comes out to be 1. Therefore system is monovariant, that is pressure or temperature must be changed. Next we have studied the water system, that is ice is converted into water, that is converted into water vapor. So how many number of phases are present at equilibrium? We know that ice, that is a solid, ice, then water vapor, this solid, liquid and gas. So these are the three phases of a system are present in a equilibrium. And how many number of components? Only one component, that is a water. So in all phases only one component is present, that is a water. Therefore F is equal to C minus P plus 2, that is a 1 minus 3 plus 2 equal to 0. Therefore, we can say that the value comes out to be 0 means the system is non-variant. So, what is the meaning of non-variant? The system is not dependent on pressure also or temperature also. This is the water system. Last example is mercury liquid is converted into carbon tetrachloride liquid, is converted into water liquid, is converted into vapor. So these all phases are in equilibrium. So how many number of phases are present? So this 1, 2, 3 and 4. So there are 4 phases are present in the equilibrium. And how many number of components are present? Components, that is a mercury, that is a one component, carbon tetrachloride, that is a second component, and this water and water vapors are only one component, that is 1, 2, and these two constitute only one component, that is number of components are 3. Therefore F is equal to 3 minus 4 plus 2. Therefore C minus P, C is 3 minus P, that is the phases are 4 plus 2 is equal to 1. Means system is F is equal to 1 means system is a monovariant, that is the pressure or temperature must be specified. So in this way we can apply the phase rule to various system. So we can calculate the number of degrees of freedom in this way. When F is equal to 0, system is non-variant. When F is equal to 1, system is a monovariant. Pressure or temperature must be changed. And when F is equal to 2, system is a bivariant. Pressure and temperature must be specified. So thank you. Next part we will study in the next lecture.